Hey everyone, it's Josh Lehrer from Red Dot Forum. In today's video, we are learning all about the exciting world of Leica watches. And I'm joined by a very special guest who has a lot to teach us. That will be Henrik Ekdahl, Managing Director of Ernst Leitz I, the division of Leica camera that manufactures the Leica watches. Stay tuned to learn more. In this video, we're going to be talking all about Leica watches. Now, if you're not familiar, Leica camera started manufacturing watches a couple of years ago, and they really dove headfirst into becoming an independent watch manufacturer. I am especially excited to have an incredible guest on the show today who flew all the way in from Germany to help us learn all about the world of Leica timepieces. I am excited to introduce Henrik. Henrik, can you please tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself and your background?
Happy to be here and happy to tell you something about my background. My name is Henrik Ekdahl. I'm the managing director of the lifestyle division of Leica, based in Wetzlar, where the headquarter of Leica is based. And well, my background is I've been in luxury all my life. I've worked in automotive and for watches. I've worked for Rolls-Royce and BMW. And the last 17 years I worked for IWC Schaffhausen, a pretty nice watch brand as well. And then 2 years ago I rejoined Leica, because Leica was actually the first company I worked for after my university studies. So I always kept in touch with Leica and I'm happy to be back.
So this is actually really cool because you're not an outsider. You actually, as you mentioned, started your career working for Leica. We won't say the year because we want to keep your youthful appearance, but let's just say sometime between 1924 and today.
In the 90s.
You began with Leica. And now, of course, you've come full circle after spending some time in the automotive world and, in, of course, the world of high-end watches. And you're bringing a deep well of experience in both worlds to Leica, which I think is exciting. And you said you've been there so far about 2 years?
Yep.
Okay, so if you're watching this in 2026, about 2 years. And has it been fun to come back to Leica?
Absolutely. I mean, I always stayed in touch with Leica, and actually there are still quite a number of colleagues working there now who used to work there when I was working for them the first time. Yes. So it was very easy to restart at Leica, and it's a fantastic brand, as you know, and so I'm happy to have this exciting role in the company, which I have.
It's a very cool job, I must admit. So you're responsible for what we see on the table in front of us, which is the Leica watches. Now, I imagine there are people watching this video who may be wondering, wait a minute, isn't Leica a camera company? Now, of course, they make a lot more than just cameras and have for many years. However, today they are most associated with high-end cameras and optics. So my first question to you, and to help our viewers understand a little bit better, why has Leica camera decided to get into high-end watchmaking, and how does that tie into their past?
Well, you mentioned the word past, so let's start with the past.
All right.
Let's start with this gentleman.
Handsome guy.
Ernst Leitz I, actually our founder. And when he was 20 years old, he went from Wetzlar in Germany to Neuchâtel in Switzerland, which is the center of watchmaking, that area of Switzerland. And he did a watchmaking training there for approximately 2 years. So he learned about watchmaking, about precision engineering, serial production, and all this knowledge he brought back to Wetzlar and started to construct the world's best microscopes, other instruments, etc. And of course, also his son, Ernst Leitz II, got this kind of injection with the watchmaking competence and the love to watches, and all that ended made sure that in 1925 the Leica 1 saw the light of day. So that is one of the reasons. Another interesting reason is if you take our iconic M6 and you take off the top cover, you see a mechanical timekeeping device here. Which controls the shutter, is purely mechanical. It features a lot of parts which you would find in a clock. So we have the history and we have the present, and those are two reasons that led to the fact that we went into the watch segment.
Yeah, that's very cool. We actually have an M6 cutaway like this at Leica Store Miami. So if you're in the neighborhood and you want to have a real connection and understanding as to the mechanical side of things, where a camera like the M6 ties into a mechanical watch, I would invite you to come see it, because when you start to manipulate the controls and see the workings, you very quickly and clearly understand how high-end watchmaking ties into the manufacture of these precision cameras, which is very, very cool. And that was in 2018, I think, when...
Well, the project started in 2015.
Okay.
And in 2023, the first watches were launched. And actually, you know, the importance of time is, of course, essential for photography and for watchmaking. So there are a lot of similarities. And when you look at this, if you're skeptical first and then you look at this and you hear the story about Ernst Leitz I, then you understand.
And I think a lot of people, including myself in the beginning, may not realize how strong Leica's connection to watchmaking was in the very beginning of the company. And one could say without Ernst Leitz I's watchmaking training, we may not have we may not even be here. So I am grateful for that. And of course, as a bit of a watch nerd myself, when Leica introduced watches and we were given the opportunity to handle them and offer them in the Leica store, I was quite excited. And seeing the brand grow and evolve and new lines come out has been awesome. And now more than ever, we have a fantastic range, which we're going to get into. But this all started with the original ZM1 and ZM2. These are what I would say are the flagship Leica timepieces. So my first question about that, and just to explain to everyone here, what is ZM?
ZM stands for Zeitmesser, which is the German word for time measurer or time measuring device.
Cool.
And that is exactly what we have here on top of the M6. So we call our watches ZM 1, 2, and 11 and 12. Those are our current models. And I think it's a Leica typical name for our products.
But it does tie in very nicely with the rest of the products. It has the letter M in it, which of course is every Leica enthusiast's favorite letter. So that works out well for me. And as a watch nerd, even if you're just a casual watch person, the heart of the watch, the movement, is what I believe makes a watch special. Now, any watch manufacturer, be an independent brand or a long-standing brand, has to face the same challenge when it comes to a movement. And what do? Do you just buy a movement off the shelf and keep it stock? Do you modify it? Do you make something from scratch? And I think Leica made a very bold decision to do what they've done with the ZM1 and 2. Can you give us a bit of insight into what is the movement in the ZM1 and 2 and kind of the backstory behind that, if you can?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, in 2015, there was the project started. So Leica made sure to get some specialists from different areas. For example, we had the design was done by Professor Achim Heine, who has designed a number of other Leica products and who has a very, very deep understanding of how Leica design should be, and thus also how the first Leica watch should be. We also had a gentleman called Reinhard Mais who constructed the movement. He used to work for Lange und Söhne, and then we, of course, had to find somebody who could produce these movements and watches. And as it happens, we have a supplier for machines which we use to produce cameras called Lehmann Precision. They are based in the Black Forest in southwestern Germany. And Mr. Lehmann also has his own watch brand. Not that many watches per year, but he is producing watches. So he knows how to produce watches. And Lehmann Precision, the company, was kind of big enough to do serial production, because, of course, we need a serial production and not just a few watches. And at the same time, they were small enough to kind of be interested when the startup Leica watches knocked on their door.
Yes. And that is kind of crazy to think about Leica as an independent watch manufacturer, because obviously we know and love Leica as a camera company, but to see how far they've come in such a short time. And really to start with your own bespoke movement built from scratch is no easy task. I imagine it was a significant financial and time investment, probably with lots of iterations. And we actually can show you, I'm going to grab a ZM2 monochrome. We're going to show you here. There we go. Look at that.
Beautiful.
That is the movement in the Leica ZM2, in this case, the ZM2 monochrome. Oof, it is beautiful. The movement finishing is gorgeous. Now, a keen-eyed observer who is looking at this may realize this is a manual wind movement.
Exactly.
So can you tell us a bit about why that is for the ZM1 and the ZM2?
Actually, the relationship between the person wearing a watch and the watch is much more personal when it's a hand-wound movement. Because you have to take care of the watch in another way. You have to feed it. You have to make sure that you wind the watch. In our case, every 60 hours. So you develop a bit more of a personal relationship to the watch, and I think that was something that was one of the reasons. The other one is, of course, that when you look at the movement of a hand-wound watch, there's no rotor blocking the view. So you get this beautiful movement. You can see all the parts, all the important parts. If you go to Google Maps and you have a look at Leitz Park, where Leica headquarters is located, you will see this round shape of the square and also of the buildings. So that's a little detail which, and watchmaking is about details and stories.
No, that's very cool. Yeah, the movement is gorgeous. I have worn the ZM1 and the ZM2 to various watch events and other boutiques of different brands. And anytime I take it off the wrist and show somebody the case back, the exhibition case back, they immediately forget about whatever other brands of watches they're surrounded by and just are mesmerized by the movement. And again, because it's manual wound, as you mentioned, there's no rotor interfering with your view of that beautiful beautiful movement. And as you mentioned, it is a 60-hour power reserve. So really every 2.5 days you have to wind it, which is no problem.
No.
Now, there are some really cool features of this movement. Now, because Leica made the movement from scratch, designed it from scratch, purely bespoke, that allowed them to incorporate some really interesting complications and features. If you haven't, some thoughts on that, I'd love to hear a little bit about what those features are, and I can show them as we talk about it.
Okay, all right. So, of course, when Leica launches the first watch, there has to be watchmaking credibility in it. We have that because it's our own manufacture movement. It should feature design DNA coming from the world of cameras, and it should also feature some characteristics or complications, as they are called in the world of watchmaking. That's simply great to use, and that kind of build this bridge between cameras and the world of photography and cameras and the watches. So I would like to point out the push crown. The push crown is, of course, amazing because it is a direct link to the shutter release on a camera. It has the red dot on it, and when you push it, then the watch stops. The so-called mode indicator, which is the white round circle there, will turn into red, so the watch tells you I have stopped working. And the small second resets at 12. So precision is, of course, also typical for watchmaking and for Leica. So now you can set and adjust the time just on the second. And then you push the crown again, and it starts running. So if you... Now it would run again.
Yes, and it's obviously you can't tell on the video, but this action here of the push crown is very satisfying, and it makes a very lovely little click noise. And again, that is a feature built into the movement, which is something you get to do when you design your movement from scratch.
The power reserve, and the power reserve reminds of the shutter of a M6. So if you look at the power reserve now, you see how the white part starts to grow.
So on the
so you have
9 o'clock.
two black shades that allow more and more white to appear. And once it's fully wound, you have 60 hours until the shades kind of make the white part disappear again. So that is very nice, and it's super easy to see. You just glance at it and you see whether you need to feed your hand wound like a ZM1 or ZM2. So that is of course, there's a lot more in these watches, but if we keep it to on that level first. So the big difference actually between the ZM1 and ZM2 is that the ZM2 features a second time zone, and that is easily to be spotted here by having a second crown, and you pull that crown, and then you have an inner bezel that is moving, jumping 1 hour, and you can adjust that to your home time zone. For example, I've adjusted it now for German time, GMT +1. And in addition, there's also a day-night indicator that shows whether these 12 hours are in the day or in the night.
That's very cool. So you would basically say, to summarize, the biggest difference is, of course, the ZM2 has the second time zone complication. The ZM1 is time and date only, along with the other cool features of the movement. So that is awesome. If you've never seen the movement of the ZM1 or 2 in person, I encourage you to run as fast as you can to your closest Leica store to check it out, because it is stunning in person. And Leica even makes and sells these beautiful little loops you can use to really get a good look at all the inner workings of this absolutely gorgeous movement. Now, we've talked a bit about the ZM1 and the ZM2 and Leica's relationship with Lehman and making this beautiful hand-wound movement. But there's more to the Leica lineup. Leica and you have been very busy over the last few years and have introduced some more watches on top of the ZM1 and the ZM2 line, starting with the ZM11.
Exactly.
So perhaps you could give us a quick overview of what is the difference, or what makes the ZM11 unique from the 1 and 2.
So the ZM11 was introduced in 2023. And it is, if the ZM1 and 2 are watches that really feature fantastic complications and address to customers who are very much into watchmaking. I would say the ZM11 and 12 are more the daily wear watches. Cool. So they're beautiful. The inspiration for the ZM11 and 12 comes more from the world of photography. If you look at the dial, you see that you can see 2 different colors. So depending on from which angle you look at the watch, you see, it makes a different impression on you. So this kind of is inspired by light and shadow, how they interact, how things change depending on from which perspective you look at it. They are manufactured in Switzerland, while the ZM1 and 2 are manufactured in Germany. And these are manufactured by a company called Chronode, which is based in Le Locle. We took one of their beautiful and very reliant automatic movements. We wanted to have an automatic movement as well, because some customers do prefer automatic movements, and it was adjusted to our needs. So you can see that it has this industrial look, just as the ZM1 and 2 have. No engravings. Of course, Leica is engraved, but we keep it kind of a bit, I think industrial is the right word for it, because that fits very well to Leica, and there's nothing you can hide here. You can't hide anything with an engraving. You will see everything that should not be there.
You have 2 options really in the portfolio. You have your hand-wound German-made movement in the ZM1 and the ZM2, or your automatic Swiss-made movement in the ZM11 and the ZM12. They both have the same 60-hour power reserve. Now, another important similarity between the ZM1 and 2 and the ZM11 would be the size. They're both 41 millimeters in diameter. So nice, good size sports watch, especially for guys like me who likes big watches. But they're really they're a nice size, and I've seen them on a very wide variety of wrists. However, if I wanted something smaller, you're holding it.
Then we have the ZM12, which is 39 millimeters. And here we have the ZM12 blue orange with a steel case. And hopefully you
there
see.
We go.
There you go. Huh?
This dial in the sun is iridescent.
So it is almost the same movement as in the ZM11. Of course, you have another gear train to because it has a small second at 6 o'clock. It is even more reduced. It does not have a date. Customers who prefer date, well, they can go for the ZM11. I think this kind of symbolizes the very best of Leica design. Very, very reduced, at the same time sophisticated. So.
Yeah, that is a gorgeous watch. I'm actually wearing right now a ZM11 in not stainless steel, which segues to my next question, is what are the case materials that Leica is working with to make their various watches?
So we have steel cases, like this ZM2. We have PVD coated steel cases, like this ZM1 monochrome.
And then on my wrist, what have we got here?
There you have
This is a beautiful
ZM11 coffee black in titanium grade 5.
Look at
So it's a titanium watch. So it's very lightweight, robust, and has simply another kind of makes another kind of impression than steel. Some prefer that, some others prefer steel.
I love this brown sunburst dial, and it goes so well with the warm tones in the titanium. So that's why I chose to wear this one. I could have picked any of these to wear for this video, but I picked this one. It is hard to choose a favorite, but we'll get to that later and see where we fall with some of our favorite pieces. Now, the really unique aspect, I think, of the ZM12 that I didn't see talked about that much in the web or online stuff is the dial symmetry, which I think is incredible. When you lose the date complication, and you have that sub-second dial in the 6 o'clock position, or the small seconds, you really get a very nice dial symmetry. So if you're a little bit OCD like me and you want to be able to slice that dial down the middle perfectly, the ZM12 is the way to go. Now this is I believe you've explained it as a dual layer dial.
Yeah. It's like you have a dial, and then you have a grid which you put on top of it.
Okay.
And in between this grid, you have the second color. So it's very, very complicated. It takes 3 weeks to manufacture these dials. But I think
look at that.
If you look at it, it's worth.
Yeah, there's so much going on in these dials. Again, especially, you're only going to see so much under these studio lights that are not really designed for watches so much, but as for people. But the way that the light hits and the dial just changes, it has so much character. It's really just a very dynamic dial. And I think that's often lost. I have a lot of watches, well, not a lot, but I have watches with mostly black dials, and they're cool and very sophisticated. But to have these really engaging and ever-evolving dials, almost like a mood ring, where it's just, you never know what color exactly it's going to be.
Josh, I think as much as, black and white photography and monochrome fits to our watches, like this one, which is very reduced in its contrast, as much does color fit to us. So these dials are just, I think they're amazing, and that is something that we definitely plan to continue with, to use color, without going too far with it, but color is beautiful, just as monochrome is beautiful. Yeah. So we need both, and we can offer both. And
speaking of color, as the watch you're holding there is something really interesting and different about the ZM11 and 12 in which the way they use, or their relationship with the straps and the bracelet. So can you give us a very quick sort of display of how that works?
Yeah. Well, the ZM1 and 2, they have normal straps,
which uses as a standard 21 millimeter lug spacing and a pull tab spring bar here. So it is quite easy to change the straps on the ZM1 and 2, but definitely not as easy as it is on the ZM11 and 12, which Henrik will show us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I took mine now, which features the steel bracelet. And if you look at the back, you see 2 red dots here. And you simply push the red dots and you pull.
Just like popping off a lens.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that.
So here you have the watch head now, and you have the bracelet or the strap, whatever you want. So it's very easy to, and the watch looks completely different depending on whether you have a metal bracelet, because we also offer them in titanium, not just steel, or whether you have a rubber strap or a textile strap. So and to put it back, you need to push the button again. You put it back, you check that it fits and holds.
Look at that.
That's it.
Beautiful. And the steel bracelet is gorgeous. The way that it catches light and the way that light dances across it. I think you can see that a little bit here. Yeah, there it is. Look at that. That is absolutely stunning. And that bracelet, it will work on any of the ZM12. So if you've got a couple of different straps, maybe you got a bracelet, you can really easily change the look of the watch just based on your mood, on your outfit. And as a watch nerd, I do enjoy changing my straps and bracelets on all my watches. at least the ones that make it easy. Some of them not so much, but that is one of the cool parts of the ZM11 and 12 is just how easy it is to change the straps. Now, I have a couple of questions for you that are a little bit more philosophical, perhaps. And one is a question we got actually last night. We had a fantastic panel discussion with the two of us and Brett Curry at Leica Store Miami. If you missed out, well, maybe next year. And I think Leica, or if you had told someone Leica was going to manufacture watches, they may think that there will be some kind of camera gimmick or gadget built into the watch or some really, really strong connection cosmetically. But Leica went a different direction. And can you maybe talk a little bit about why that is?
Yeah. Well, the decision was taken to go for serious watchmaking and not gadgets. And of course, there are, like I already said, there are quite a few inspirations from the world of cameras and photography built into our watches, but no gadgets, because we're not a gadget company. There, in theory, you could add a few things that kind of build the bridge between the watch and timekeeping and cameras, and we'll see what comes in the future. We have some ideas, but we want to be a serious producer of high quality mechanical watches, and that's why we're not building in some other stuff right now.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful for that because, as I said, your first kind of gut reaction when you hear a camera company is making a watch is, oh, they're going to put a bunch of Leica red dots on it and a lens on it and all this crazy stuff. But instead, you went for a beautiful, timeless, classic design. You worked with experienced movement makers and watch case makers, and you brought a lot of expertise. I mean, just the fact that you're sitting here with me today, someone with a vast well of experience in the watch industry, I think shows that commitment, which is kind of leads me to my next question. Obviously, it's not a small investment of money and time to develop watches. Since you've come in over the last few years, what have you seen as Leica's commitment, both in the past and going forward, to maintaining and expanding the watch brand?
We're clearly here to stay as I wouldn't call it a watch brand, but as a manufacturer of not only cameras but also watches. So we will continue with watches. The level of commitment is very high, all the way from the top. Our chairman of the supervisory board, Dr. Andreas Kaufmann, he loves not just cameras, but he loves watches as well, and he's very, very much into this topic. So we frequently meet and discuss how to move forward. I would say another sign of commitment is also that his daughter is actually our marketing manager, and her husband, so the son-in-law of Dr. Kaufmann, has been with us now for 2 years as a co-MD. So the owners are heavily involved, and also among the other employees and top management of Leica, there's a high interest in these products. So.
And I think that makes sense. Working in a Leica store, being a watch enthusiast, I interact with lots of customers and other Leica enthusiasts like myself every day. And there's a significant amount of crossover in watch lovers and Leica lovers, me being one of them. So as I mentioned earlier, when I heard that Leica was making watches all those years ago, I got super excited because it really brought together my two passions, but also two passions that lots of Leica users and Leica lovers and enthusiasts share. So to me, while at first thought it may seem odd that Leica is making watches, when you dive into it a little bit more, and you talked about the history, about the heritage, and how important watchmaking is to Leica's existence today, I think it actually makes a lot of sense, especially when you see the finished product and you see these watches, you get wrist time with these watches, and you understand how significant they are to watch wearing, to watch collecting, and to Leica as a company. And it's been fantastic for me as an outsider to watch you and your team grow the product line, to be really genuinely interested in our feedback, in customer feedback. And I'm excited to see where things go. I'm really excited just to get more wrist time with the watches, as we continue to expand what we have on display at Leica Store Miami, because it's fun. Again, if you've watched Red Dot Forum Camera Talk over the last 6+ years, you've seen my colleague David and I both wearing lots of different watches, talking about watches, wearing Leica watches, and we have a whole episode on them, like I said. So it's been really fantastic to see things go from those early prototypes to where we are now. And I do feel we've covered a lot of ground, so we won't go on forever, although you know that we both could. I would say I have a pop quiz, or not pop quiz, a question for you on the spot. If you had to pick one to wear, what would it be, do you think? Would it be the one you're wearing, or?
I actually think right now, I mean, I love the ZM2 with its functions, but I also love this one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is upside down. Yeah. This is just gorgeous. I love the green dial. And this in combination with the ZM2.
There we go.
These two. And you can put on different straps here on the ZM2. You can, which we have, for example, we have
show
a blue
them
one
that.
here.
Look at that.
Which is, makes it a bit more sporty and a bit cooler. And those watches.
That's very cool. Yeah, Leica recently, at least recently as of this video, introduced a wider range of leather straps for the ZM1 and ZM2, including that beautiful blue that you saw on the ZM1. There's a couple different beige and other blue options. So you can really customize it even within the Leica product portfolio. And of course, with the 21mm lug spacing, you can go aftermarket and you can go crazy if you want. There is also a beautiful steel Milanese bracelet available for the ZM1 and the ZM2, both in the stainless steel finish and the PVD coated steel. There it is. That's beautiful. So it's quite amazing to me to see how far Leica has come in the last 10 years with their investment in the watch division. And again, I think bringing you on was a great idea. I'm excited to see where the future goes. I'm extremely grateful for your time, for your expertise, for your inspiration. And if there's anything in closing that you would like to share with our viewers, whether the past, the present, the future, I would.
No, I would mainly like to thank you here at Red Dot Forum that you are so into our brand and into our products, and I would like to thank all of you looking at this, that you are part of the global Leica family. Because this is certainly a fantastic brand with fantastic products, but also fantastic users. And we are doing products that should be used and not just locked away somewhere. So yeah, I'm excited about what the future will bring, and we have great plans. But now we also have to make them happen, and to make things happen in watchmaking takes time.
No pun intended, but yes, it is as amazing as it is to see how far you guys have come. We're all very excited about the future, and I am truly grateful as a watch nerd, as a Leica nerd, that I get to play with all these here on the table and ask you questions all day long. So I hope you found this video informative and fun and interesting, and whether or not you're into watches or into Leica, we always welcome your questions, your comments, your thoughts. Of course, you can comment below on this video if you have questions about the watches, questions you want me to forward to Henrik, questions for myself.
I'll read the comments.
He will read the comment. There, he said it. He's committed, because we want to engage the Leica community, the watch community. We are genuinely excited about these timepieces. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we do have an episode of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk dedicated to the Leica watches. It was before the ZM12 came out, so I think we are due for a refresh episode sometime this year. So I will definitely bug you to get some more cool watches.
Always happy to come to Miami.
You're always welcome, but especially in the long, cold German winters. So yes, if you enjoyed this video, I would encourage you to comment with questions, thoughts, anything you want to talk about when it comes to Leica or Leica watches. Check out our many episodes of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk on YouTube, because there are, at this point, almost 100, I think. It's been quite a bit. And we really enjoyed bringing you this content, so be sure to subscribe if you want to see more from Red Dot Forum, from Leica Store Miami. And of course, if you enjoy what we do and you want to support us, in addition to subscribing, commenting, liking, all that good stuff, and of course, sharing this video with everyone, the best thing to do is to support Leica Store Miami with your next Leica watch purchase, camera, lenses, pre-owned. We do it all. I want to thank Henrik for his time. I want to thank David for producing the show behind the scenes. I know you're used to seeing him sitting next to me. It's very strange to see this gentleman here, but we are very excited to have
both
him.
of us.
That's true. And I hope to see everybody in the next video. Henrik, thank you.
Thank you.
Truly a pleasure. See you next time.